Good evening. Well, Billy Mackie Snedden has hung up his speaker's wig and ended a long, honest and at times enlightened political career. But here's Richard Carleton from Canberra.
Prime Minister Hawke's first Parliament and the nation's 33rd opened here in Canberra today. The procedures and the ceremonies were much as they are after each election, right down to the afternoon tea for members, wives and others in the Senate Rose Garden. Well, the last Labor government, 72 to 75, was Mr Whitlam's. Now, those 3 turbulent years were, in part, made turbulent by the vigorous, very vigorous, opposition style of some in the Country Party, particularly the leader, Mr Anthony. Well, during today's ceremonies, Mr Anthony and some others had the opportunity to speak following the formalities of the election of the new Speaker. Now, these speeches, on this occasion, they're usually suffocatingly indulgent, and in surprised fashion they congratulate the new Speaker on his election. Surprised when Blind Freddie and the drover's dog knew that Dr Jenkins just had to win today, secret ballot or not. Well, Mr Anthony wasn't overawed by the occasion of the day, though, today. He signalled that this opposition was going to be a fighting opposition, and the impression was clearly there that if they had to jettison Queensberry or Westminster rules to be effective, then that should cause few problems. This may foreshadow tough parliamentary times ahead for Mr Hawke, but some doubt it. For all his fire today, Mr Anthony now has 26 years in the Parliament, and he appears a trifle tired. Some doubt he has the stomach for another long fight, especially as friends and colleagues are retiring all around him. Today's retiree was Sir Billy Snedden, and there was a certain oddity in this too. He was sworn in as the member for Bruce for the 12th time, and he has another free Bible to prove it. Then moments later, he announced his resignation. A recorded interview with Sir Billy shortly. In some respects, Billy Snedden, many years near the centre of political power, today stole the show. Here's Paul Murphy with the former Speaker's background.
Billy Mackie Snedden comes from that honourable Australian social strain, the Battlers. He was born to Scottish working-class parents in Perth 56 years ago. His father died when young Billy was 8. His family then struggled through the Great Depression with Billy selling newspapers morning and night. But those hard and bitter years pushed him politically to the right rather than to the left. He joined the Liberal Party and studied law and twice stood unsuccessfully for Parliament. It was third time lucky when he won the safe Victorian seat of Bruce in 1955. The young Snedden was a loyal supporter and keen admirer of Sir Robert Menzies. At 38 he was Attorney General and then Immigration Minister under Harold Holt. In 1967 it was an honour of a different type, a slightly bemused but happy Father of the Year.
Thrill.
What qualifications do you think you have for the award?
I don't know. This is a mystery to me. I suppose that I am a father well, I am a father, not suppose, so that's the first qualification. I've got 4 children. I think they're pretty good kids. They don't know about this. They'll get quite a surprise.
Sir Billy reached the political heights when he succeeded defeated Prime Minister McMahon as Liberal Party leader in 1972. He was perhaps unkindly described by one observer as a McMahon with flair. Some of his colleagues were already nervous about their leader's ability to stand up to Mr Whitlam in parliamentary debate. But Mr Snedden, as he then was, pressed ahead with a Senate majority to force an election in 1974. As he campaigned, he tried a TV technique of ignoring the interviewer and looking straight at the camera while explaining party room difficulties.
I know you'd like me to answer that, but the fact is that in an executive meeting, they're private, no press present, decisions are reached, and when the decision is reached, it's announced. The decision has not yet been reached. When it is, we'll release it.
How have you reacted to campaign material put out by the Country Party suggesting that Mr Anthony would make an extremely good Prime Minister?
I've heard of it. I read in the press about it. I haven't seen it. I don't think it'll be given much circulation.
Snedden came close to winning in 1974, but not close enough. In his own words, "I didn't win, but I didn't lose." But less than a year later, his party colleagues, worried by Mr Snedden's parliamentary reverses at the hands of Mr Whitlam, dumped him as leader in favour of Malcolm Fraser. Mr Fraser wasn't charitable in party room victory. He didn't want Snedden in his cabinet, but he did get the consolation prize of Speaker of the House, a position of great status and dignity, but little real power. In his 7 years in that august job, Sir Billy Snedden fought for parliamentary reform, particularly strengthening the Parliament at the expense of the executive. It was often a stormy time on the floor of the Reps, but the Speaker still found time for relaxation with a Scottish theme. Now, after 28 years in Parliament, the former paper boy who tried and failed to become Prime Minister of Australia is going. As he said today, it just wouldn't be right for a former Speaker to leave his ornate chair for a seat on the back bench.
Well, have you ever been able to get out of your mind those words that Mr. Fraser used there at the end of 1974 when he first challenged you and missed, and he then said that you had his total and undivided loyalty, and then 90 days later or thereabouts he managed to oust you? Have you ever got those words out of your mind, total and undivided loyalty?
Never look over your shoulder, Richard. Just look ahead. There's wonderful things out there to do.
But you said at your press conference today that you could have been Prime Minister if that loyalty, really interpreting your words, if that loyalty had actually been forthcoming.
Well, it's true that if I hadn't been defeated by Malcolm Fraser for the leadership of the Liberal Party in March 75, I would have gone to the next election, and I'm certain I'd have won. Had I won, I think the shape of Australia may have been different to that which it is now. I had different points of view and a different methodology, but I don't want to make today a comparison between myself and Malcolm Fraser, and I most certainly don't want it to be a vehicle of recrimination. Richard, you've interviewed me many times. You know my high regard. I think you're one of the very best interviewers I've ever been interviewed by. But I'm going to turn you off that subject.
Well, just before you do, let me complete that segment of this interview by asking you whether you think politics is a dirty game and possibly too dirty for you. You're not thick-skinned enough. And why I bring that up is because, and it's going back to that second time that Mr. Fraser challenged you and when he beat you. You came back to your office on that day, and I can remember it like it was yesterday, and you were going to get the plane down to Melbourne. And you came back to your office to gather your bags. And whilst you're in your office there in the little suite of offices, one of your party colleagues, to use the word loosely, stuck his head in through the door and said to you, "Bad luck, Bill, sorry, commiserations," seeking to give you the impression, this fellow, that he had voted for you, but you'd been beaten and that was bad luck. You knew the fellow was lying. I think you know who I'm talking about too now. You knew the fellow was lying, and as he walked away, you turned, and it just happened to be me that was standing alongside you. You turned, almost a tear in your eye, and you said, "Why are they got to do it? Why are they got to be like that?" Now, that's not really the toughness that successful Australian politicians are made of, is it?
Well, perhaps it is true that the qualities of toughness are admired most. I always have held the belief that the qualities that are right should be admired. I remember being criticised, being told I was too decent a chap. You remember, I used to read. I'm too decent. I used to read criticism. I was too honest. I used to read criticism saying I was too trusting. And I used to say, I'm this, and for that reason I'm a failure. No, I'm not a failure. I'm right. Let me get into office, and then those qualities which I'm speaking of and which I'm accused of having will then become the qualities to be emulated in the country. so that we don't knock people, we don't take disadvantage of people. We want to see individual success, and we want to multiply individual success. We want to understand that individual success brings community success. We want to break down the obstacles that prevent people from achieving. Those are the things I had in mind. It may have been a different country had I succeeded.
So could I suggest to you that you didn't have the verbal dexterity to make a great success of politics? And I think back to those times when you got laughed at in the Parliament, when Whitlam used to really beat you about the ears with, you came back once, woof woof. There was another time was the political bikies pack-raping democracy, and when you had the your colleagues walking over hot coals and barefoot over hot coals to support you.
Through the Valley of Death.
Through the Valley of Death. But there weren't 600, unfortunately.
The three things that you speak of were jokes. But when it's written down in print, the humour and the circumstance evaporates. Another one, you've left one out. After the 74 election, after the 74 election, I was reported widely as saying, I didn't win, but I didn't lose. Of course, what was left off was I didn't win, but I didn't lose all, A-double-L, because I won the control of the Senate, which was the major reason why an election was forced in 74 instead of going through the normal time in 75. So, I lack dexterity, that's true, because I like to think of what I'm going to say before I say it. And Mrs. Catherine Gilroy Rowland Mackey, who became Mrs. Snedden, had a series of sons who were stonemasons and butchers, and so would I have been, but for chance. And so if you leave, I left school at 14, that's not an excuse, but I never really did get that dexterity. My thought processes are good, but perhaps capturing the word to the thought may be a little slow.
I was going to bring that subject up, really, and put it, you are from the wrong side of the tracks in liberal society terms, barefoot paperboy in Perth and that sort of thing, the biographers put it that way. Has there been a big handicap in the Liberal Party?
No, it's not, because I'm judged for what I am. And there's been enough people willing to judge me badly for things that I'm doing without turning back the pages and say, look at that background. But I think that you've got a wrong concept of the Liberal Party if you think that my origins was a disadvantage. On the contrary, it's an advantage.
Well, I don't quite know what happened there, but I assume that was the end of the interview. Anyway, that's Sir Billy Mackie Snedden bowing out after nearly 30 years in politics. They say that politics gets into the blood, and it's certainly been in his blood now for nearly 3 decades.